Oh, Wes. Okay, so remember when we were talking about in the serial draft, like the worst things our significant others have ever said to us?
Yeah.
Well, Brittany and I were going somewhere, um, and we were listening to that part of that episode, and she she says to me, "I can't believe like what you said like was the meanest thing I ever said to you." Like she's like, "That's not even close to the meanest thing I've ever said to you." And I'm like, "Well, I don't actively keep track of that stuff, right?" And she goes, "I think the meanest thing I've ever said to you is about how happy I am that you grew into your head." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You don't remember this?" I'm like, "No, explain it to me." And she goes, "Well, when you were like a kid and like a teenager and even like as like a young adult, your head just didn't fit your body." You had this big old head and this tiny body, and now, and you know, you've kind of grown into it. I'm like, "You bitch." And she goes, "Well, at least I'm not calling you fat all the time like Wes's wife does."
True. That's count your blessings.
Anyways, we were at the Home Depot the other day, and we were pulling out like tools and like some supplies and stuff, right? And at the far end of the aisle, one of the people was like working on like one of those lifts, right? And this Asian guy, he had to be like in his like mid 20s. He pokes his head around the aisle, and I swear to God, like I'm not making this up, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but he just goes, "Holy shit," and then walks away. And it was like, it was so surreal because like it's obviously like a horrible like racial stereotype, but I also witnessed it in real life, and it was just surreal, and like it blew my mind.
I have to assume that guy was Japanese. I heard so many like full sentence or full phrase American like expletives when I was in Japan, like "hoary fuck" or "hoary shit." Like, I think that's maybe it's just anyone who speaks English with as like a second language from Asia, which might be like a super terrible generalization, but I've heard it specifically many times in Japan.
Anyways, it was just so we we say that to each other all the time now at work. Like if something's like crazy, we just go, "Holy shit."
So Thailand has like a couple different languages here. Like there's the main Thai language, and then there's the northern language, which is like mutually intelligible or can be spoken interchangeably with the Laotian language.
Okay.
And you can get some really funny interactions. For example, they call like everything shit in Thai. So like if you have stuff in your nose, it's like nose shit, or stuff in your ears, ear shit, like earwax is ear shit. And if you say them backwards, it means different things in like the northern language. So like kihu is like earwax, it means ear poop. And huki, however, in the northern language means like asshole. So I accidentally said that one in the wild.
How'd that go?
Yui lost her composure entirely and started laughing, and then had to tell her whole family.
You guys are special. You guys are special for each other.
We are. We lived a charmed life over here in Southeast Asia.
Yep, HR nightmare. Okay, let's get into the introduction. Kevin, how you doing? This is for you in post. We're sorry you couldn't make it tonight. But we love you.
Speak for yourself. Get fucked, Kevin. No, I'm just kidding. Love you, homie. Hopefully you're taking yourself a nice nap, and then when you receive this recording, you're like, "Holy shit."
we start this? Ah, fuck it. In the words of Bill O'Reilly, we'll do it live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Life Midwest podcast. I am again your host, former Army vet Lenny Wells, and we have our Thai correspondent and verbal abuser of wives, Wes Shirley.
Sawadi's nuts.
Kevin is off this week, not on purpose. He just fell asleep because we have some weird ass recording times. So we did have a topic lined up. Well, Kevin had a topic lined up, but today we're just doing a silly one because we don't want to do his topic without him. As you've very plainly heard in the cold open. So who knows how this is gonna go? We're gonna vibe, Wes, I think. That's what we're doing right now, right?
Yeah, just shooting the shit, talking about whatever, you know. Our listeners love when we do that, so that's what we're doing.
All four of them. Brittany and I were out a couple weekends ago, and I don't remember why it got brought up, but Brittany brought up the podcast, and her friend's like, "Oh yeah, I've heard you talk about that. You should send me the link." And I was like, "Okay, I will." So I like the next day, like I sent her friend a link to the podcast, and I was like, afterwards, I got a little self-conscious, and I was like, "Please don't judge us. We're just having fun. We're not that great."
Yeah, every time I share the podcast, I die a little bit inside. I'm just overly critical of everything I do. So even in a world where this is actually a good podcast, I would still feel that way. But like Yui's acquaintances, like professional acquaintances have asked for, and I'm like, oh God, there's so much cringe shit in here.
Do you still give it to him though?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, there's no point in recording it if we don't share it.
I mean, that's fair. True. Has anybody ever talked to you about it afterwards?
No. Only my friends that actually listen every once in a while. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, "Yo, good episode this week," and I'll be like, "Oh, how'd you like the other ones?" "Oh, I didn't listen to those. I just tuned in once."
Okay, so after you tell your wife's professional acquaintances about the podcast and give them the info about it, the next time you see them, do they look at you differently?
I would be surprised if they listen to really any of it. I mean, okay. Unless they're trying to practice English or something. I mean, they're all tertiary or secondary English speakers. So I can't imagine listening to people talk about their own personal lives in English as the primary language, and sometimes not even talking about anything in particular is too interesting to them. But who knows? No feedback I've received.
I mean, that's okay. I imagine for the just random person, our podcast probably ends up being people watching at Walmart.
This is people at Walmart.
Midwest.
That is what the Midwest is, though, really. It's people at Walmart.
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck is going on with Ohio as a meme?
What do you mean?
I leave Ohio for 6 months, and now all of a sudden it is a worldwide meme. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Ohio meme.
Okay, so I'm gonna blow your mind for a minute. Ohio as a meme has been a thing for 4 years at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I have my students asking me, "Aren't you from Ohio?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "It's probably crazy there, huh?" And I'm like, I mean, from Toledo's pretty crazy. I don't know about the rest of
Ohio. Okay, maybe 4 years is a bit of exaggeration, but it's been at least 2 years. There was for a minute on r/memes on Reddit, there where if it was Ohio related, it was gold.
I saw one a while ago that was like danger posed by Ohio. And Ohio is red. And it's like you are in Ohio, and all the ones
Oh,
surrounding it goes like orange and yellow and gray. And like the least danger is you are not safe, or like false sense of security,
yeah.
but with like zero context. And that's been around for a while, and that's funny. But like I I saw a compilation where like the pride flags turns into the Ohio flag, and the world restructures itself to Ohio, and there's a train inside of a train, and it has like a song about Ohio, and it's like only in Ohio.
There's a guy on TikTok, and what he does is he goes around, like he'll go, like it'll be like at like a public park or something, right? And he talks about like all these like fake cryptids that like exist supposedly in Ohio, or like, it's just like it makes no sense. So let's see. This is, yeah, it was about 2 years ago. Anyways, this guy on TikTok, he'll go around. He'll be like, in Ohio, we only have to fear the boogeyman in March. The rest of the year, he sleeps in his den, and then just like fucks off. Like that's the TikTok. um, but then like I'm sure you've seen like the always has been meme, right? Where
Oh
the
yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
astronauts in
In outer
space.
space, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you look closely, the one holding the gun has, instead of like an American flag, it's the Ohio state flag, or the state flag of Ohio. And the original meme is they're out there in space, and the Earth is just the state of Ohio surrounded by water. And the original text me is, "Wait, it's been Ohio the whole time." And the guy holding the gun
Always
always
has
has been.
been.
So it just keeps going. I actually, one of my friend that I met out here, like he still uses like Facebook kind of regularly, but he has like a whole album dedicated to like Ohio memes. So I don't know what to say other than, you know, why, but also okay.
I mean, I find it cool because I'm from Ohio or whatever. But like anyone else, like how do y'all feel about like, I don't know, if I saw any other place, I'd be like, whatever, this meme's irrelevant to me. Is this just all people from Ohio like filling their own interests?
I think people just like to shit on Ohio.
It's fair. I mean, it deserves it as much as any other place, maybe more, probably more.
It's like Ohio is like almost a flyover state. I was watching a documentary. This is like a while back, I want to say, and they were going over like accents, like throughout the country, throughout the U.S. And what they did was they would present like a map to people, and they would have them like circle the region that they think speaks the most, like what you would consider like the best English in the country. So like, or like what the I can't. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it to link it in the notes. But basically, like they're like, where do you think like is like the most correct English spoken, or like what is the least um, accented place where, what region has like no accent, basically. So like they're basically trying to pick out like what would be default American accent, if that makes any sense. And Ohio was always in the circle, if not like the center.
We definitely have an accent. When I was studying in Japan, other English speaking nations specifically like to make fun of mine and another guy's from Michigan's accent. And it was so funny to us because like we never hear our own accent talk back to us in the States. But we have one, and it's all they described it as vocal fray. Like, oh my god.
See, like
uh,
I would attribute that to California, like the West Coast.
like surfer, for example, sup, dude? Or that's probably terrible. Appropriating surfer culture.
I mean, it's
Um,
not horrible, but like because like that vocal fry, that oh my god, that really is like a very, it's very like West Coast California specifically thing. Like especially if you just like look on social media, like that's video related anyways. People that sound like that are typically from or in California. I never thought about it. I know uh, Brittany always tells me that like my parents sound like they're out of Bobby's World, which happens to take place in Minnesota. I don't know if you remember that cartoon or not.
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, you know
Bobby's
that
World.
don't you know that
Oh, okay.
that
The
accent?
almost Canadian accent.
Yeah, that's what she says my parents sound like. So, but I don't I don't hear it, but she doesn't say that I sound like that. She does think that I like when listening to me on the podcast that I sound like I have something constantly stuck in my throat, which that was a great thing to hear.
Do you like eat as quick as you can before recording normally? It kind of seems like you're rushed, eat food, and then come record.
Not typically, no. Um,
Ah.
I just like I don't know. No. I think it has. Wes, you remember in high school when the nut tap game was like raging?
Oh yeah, sack tap, sack tap.
Yeah. So when I was in not basic training, but the part that comes after to train for my job in the military, um, it showed up.
Oh my.
And yeah. So what ended up happening is like we ran on like an honor system. So like if you called truce or like said that you were out, like nobody would get you unless you did something to somebody else, right? Well, there was this guy that I was in training with, and he had called out. Like he wanted like totally out. Um, but then like a couple days after he had called being out, um, somebody had told me that he had gotten them. So I was like, oh, so he's fair game. So later that day, I like destroyed this man. Like I snuck up from behind him. He had no idea I was there. And I came down with the full force of God right on this man's testicles. And it was like I shouldn't have done it. Like even like at the time I was like, maybe that was a little too like intense. But you know, I was like, you know, at the end of the day, as far as I knew, he was still in or he was back in. So I'm walking away like kind of laughing about it, and there's you know people around, we're high fiving or whatever. And this man like after comes up from behind me and like grabs me in like a chokehold, right? And he's squeezing real hard, um, like to the point where like I thought I was gonna like pass out, and like I was feeling some weird sensations in my body that I'd never felt before or since, and but not in like a sexy way, in like a kind of panicky I might die way. um, and so after he like finally lets go, my throat like felt like really weird. Like it felt like it had been like shifted off to one side. And like it was for a long time, it was really difficult. Well, not a long time, for like the rest of like that day, it was like really hard to like swallow and stuff. So I eventually like went to the hospital, but um, I'll let you in on a little secret. Healthcare and emergency medicine in the military is actually far worse than it is in the normal civilian world. I was there for like 8 hours in the emergency room, waiting room, and was never seen. So I just was like, well, fuck this. I'm really tired. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. I need to go to bed. And that was that. So I think just like my throat's fucked up, and that's why I sound like I have something constantly stuck in my throat.
That story took me to a whole bunch of different conclusions before I got there. I'm like, all right, it's nut damage. Okay, maybe it's not nut damage. And
It's definitely not nut damage. I have the walking proof of it.
like how certain artists, I'm not Michael Jackson, sure, what the fuck ever, like would punch himself in the balls to go. Like, so the reason Lenny sounds the way he sounds is because he was punched in the ball so hard once at job training.
Wes, you're going to Bangkok this week, right?
Yep. Hopefully the last time for definitely this year, and then hopefully the last time unless I want to go there like recreational.
Oh, so you're going for like a immigration relation related purpose?
I'm actually just luggage on this trip and every trip thus far. I do the immigration right here in Chiang Mai. Chiang
Oh.
Mai is like the other big place. But Yui's job is in, well, both of her jobs are in Bangkok, but she works from home. And the exams actually have to be done in person. So when she, at the end of the semester and during the midterm and at the beginning of the semester, we've had to go to Bangkok, and hopefully this is the end of her having to go there for her job. I told her if next semester she has to go there, she's going alone. I hate traveling. I hate packing. I hate moving stuff. I hate being on airplanes. It's an hour trip, so it's really not that bad. And I'm not afraid of airplanes. They're just small and I'm fat. Um, so I'm not a big fan of them. And it's just so stressful. Even like, it's not like stressful, but like it's physically stressful. Like my habits change, my sleep schedule gets messed up. I might not like poop for 3 days if I go on a trip, which is fine. It's not, I'm not in danger or anything, but like I like being regular. I rather just every day take a big old deuce and feel good.
No, that's
like,
fair.
so like having to like wait for that like second and a half or third day to come by so I can finally like relieve myself of a stomach full of dookie. It's like, come on, why does my body do this every time I travel? So I just don't want to. I'm definitely a homebody. I'd rather sit in my same chair, teach, get up to like shower and do a little exercise, and then sit back down in that same damn chair and play some video games.
Is what? Why do you have to take a plane? Do they not, is like train not like a viable option? Do they not have a rail line?
Train's a viable option. Not for me. Like, so Yui wanted to drive once, and it's a mountainous country, so it takes like 9 hours to drive there. But the plane trip's like 55 minutes. So a 3 hour journey if you consider getting to the airport on time, going through security, and getting your luggage again after landing. Which is much more preferable because I'm not afraid of flying. I just don't like small spaces, and the train's going to be basically a plane on wheels and tracks. So the plane's the better option, but it's like a 9 hour train or maybe like an overnight train, maybe 6 hours or whatever. And driving's like 9 hours because curvy mountain roads, and the plane is just the quickest and actually cheapest option because you're not paying for gas. And you're not paying in your time. Like if you value your time as money, a overnight trip costs more than a 3 hour plane trip that's maybe $50 more.
Oh, okay, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah, airplane's definitely the right way to travel in Thailand, unless you're deathly afraid of them and that ruins your trip. But if you ever go to Thailand, take a plane.
um, so if it's not too like prying, why have you like been going with her thus far, and then or like versus like staying in place? Because I
Well,
mean, I can't imagine that she's gone for very long, right?
this time will be a week. Last time was a whole month because it was the midterms through two different schools, and then also her nephew was gonna be there for a piano competition, so we just stayed an extra like 5 days or whatever, so we could see that. And funny enough, we missed it. We got there right as he was playing, and they wouldn't let us in. But at
Oh,
least he knew we were there or whatever, and we hung out with him afterwards. But yeah, so like I didn't come here to like just chill by myself in a place I'm not familiar, so I kind of go with her everywhere.
okay.
If she goes for a week, that's fine, but the month, I'm like, well, I'm not just going to stay here for a month. Like,
No, yeah,
I'd rather
for a
be in the
month.
U.S. at that point. Like,
No, yeah,
um,
for a month, I totally get that. But I mean, like, I don't know. I guess like if it was me, I'd probably stay, but like to be able to like go out and explore in like a real fish out of water situation where um as like a like to test myself, I guess. That's like
mm.
the way I would look at it.
I just got my actual, like, I literally just got my license ID card today. So like if
Mhm.
I wanted to stay here, I could finally start doing stuff like that. But Chiang Mai, on the outskirts at least, is kind of like the greater Toledo area in the sense that if you don't have a car, you're boned.
Mm.
And now that I have that option, and next semester she decides she's going to Bangkok, I will probably, yeah, do little trips like that, go explore Chiang Mai, and get my bearings locally. Actually, I should probably do that now. Tell her to cancel my ticket. We're leaving tomorrow in the morning. So I'm like, you know what? It's all you. You have fun on your trip. There are benefits to going, though. They have like sushi roll there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like conveyor belt sushi, but they have like a really popular Japanese franchise there and not here. And anytime I can eat sushi roll, I'm going to do that.
Is that like the specific name of the restaurant?
Yeah, it's I used to eat it like on a weekly or maybe daily basis at certain points while I was living in Japan. And it's not as good because it's not like in Japan, and in Japan they really take their sushi serious, but it's still pretty good. And it's like nostalgic. So I try to get there as often as I can.
I'm familiar with the concept of the conveyor belt. I just didn't, but I don't think we have. That's not what it's called, or at least there's not a place that's called Sushi Roll that does that around here. It's just whatever the local shop is. Well, there's a small, small is maybe not the right word, but there's a local chain, I guess, that has conveyor at some of its locations.
If you haven't, I think you should try it. Conveyor belt sushi is really cool concept. It's like basically food comes to you and you just pick what you want.
Oh no, also, I have tried it.
Nice.
I'm not really a big fan of sushi though. I don't know. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I've gotten food poisoning from fish before. So I have a hard time eating fish that I haven't caught, cleaned, and prepared myself.
That's fair. I kind of stick to that rule when so like I go to Sushi Roll, but I get like the seared or like shortly, like they'll take like a torch and like broil it real quick, or like the fried stuff, like fried shrimp on top of rice. So like I get all the westernized dishes at the Thai Sushi Roll, but in Japan, I fully trust their fish cleaning and preparing capabilities. Like they prepare fugu there. I wouldn't eat fugu because I'm not trying to like accidentally die from eating a neurotoxin fish. But like I generally think that they take so much pride in what they do in Japan that I could eat sushi every day and probably never get food poisoning from the fish at least. But yeah, I'm very cautious generally when I'm in anywhere else. The US, Thailand, it doesn't matter. If it's not Japan, I really don't want to eat your raw fish.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got my food poisoning in Toledo, so.
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah, that makes sense. Where's the ocean in Toledo?
Kind of hungry now.
Dude, we always talk about food. The Food Midwest, hosted by Lenny and Wes.
I mean, food is like the thing that brings everybody together, and it's just only a matter of time until we get like Kevin truly in on the food convo.
Right. I can't wait to hear about his oven baked chicken desires.
His grandpa food, whatever that means for him. We're sitting here talking about like, oh, like I went to this restaurant, or I tried this hole in the wall and I didn't die, and then he'd like, yeah, oatmeal's good.
It's funny, on his socials, him and Ashley go to like all these cool exotic places too. So like he has food topics to talk about. He chooses to talk about grandpa food.
I mean, to be fair, it was only that one time with cereal, but well, Kevin will get you there.
Yeah, he's also never living that down. Grandpa food till the day we forget about it.
Which will be never, the day we die. All right. I think we're coming up on a pretty good time here. Wes, let's do a little shouties. And who you shouty today?
Shouty to the Japanese for like taking really good pride in their food creation and sushi. I didn't really like sushi before going to Japan, and then I'm like, well, I gotta try it. I'm here in Japan, and yeah, if you're ever in Japan, eat that shit. It's delicious. Shout out to Thailand. I continually exploit my adventures here for topics on the podcast. It's a pretty neat place with surprisingly really good bureaucracy. Other than my mistakes I personally made, getting a driver's license here was brain dead easy. Shout out to my wife. because I continually call her cute pig names. And shout out to you, Lenny, for hosting us today, and shout out to Kevin for enjoying a nice slumber.
Hell yeah. I'm also gonna shout out my wife. Well, you didn't shout my wife out, but you shout your wife. I'm gonna shout my wife. You know, you get it. Anyways, I'm gonna shout out Brittany. I'm also glad I grew into my head. So thanks for that. Shout out to Thailand and Sabai. The pork meatballs were fantastic. Let's see. Shout out to you, Wes, for giving me so much Thailand knowledge that I just blew the brains of my coworkers. I didn't tell them about the podcast because I don't think they're ready to know this side of me yet. We're still in that like get to know each other everybody phase of working at a new spot, you know, not quite comfortable yet, but not quite uncomfortable, and it's a weird dynamic.
We need to delist episode 63 before coworkers know about our podcast. It's a bit radical.
Yeah, perhaps. And then lastly, shout out to food. You the bomb.
Amen, brother.
Eat that shit. All right, everybody, we're gonna get out of here, and we'll see you next Saturday and every Saturday that we put an episode out. Before I go, hit us up at our socials. There, it's always going to be at the Life Midwest, or email us at support@thelifemidwest.com. Or support, yeah, that's right? I did that right? Fuck, Kevin will fix it.
I think so, I don't know.
And yeah, so hit us up. Well, hit me up, because I'm the one you'll be talking to. Anyways, so yeah, now we'll leave. Bye.
Hasta la taco por los burritos.